Hello, it's Tad Walker here, and I am back with you on this fine Sunday morning for another edition of the Sunday Sport. Let's get into it. Some things from the front page. Lockdown perv dies with squirrel up bum. Oddball's bizarre boast. My sexy llama looks like Keir Starmer. Don't know who this is, but I mean, what they have done there is just photoshopped a quiff onto it. And the main headline from the front page, Trump wore nappies in White House bunker. The page 3 girl this week is Claire Meek, who was the page 3 girl in the first issue that I did. So, nice variety. To be fair, quite glad to see her back, actually. Fury as clown brings croc to kids' party. Picture clown Terry during his disturbing croc act. Everyone knows that clowns are utterly terrifying and that behind the bulbous red nose and the makeup lurks a soul tortured by the blackest darkness. Maybe I should be a clown. But clown Terry Coco wasn't expecting to laugh at that. Not as much. Terry Coco. It's the little things that are funny, aren't they? It's a great name. Took terror to a whole new level when he turned up to a 5-year-old's birthday with a, in capitals, crocodile. Needless to say, mayhem ensued with mums and tots screaming and crying and wetting themselves as Coco, real name Terry Watson, lurked in with a man-eating reptile. Mum, Carol Hoole, who organised the party for daughter Rihanna at home in Splint, Cumbria, said it was raining, so he had the party in the garage, which is technically outside, so within the lockdown rules. And then the clown turns up. I think he was drunk. He reached into his bag and I thought he was going to pull out a balloon or something, but no, a sodding crocodile. All the other mums thought the croc were my idea, and they're all been posting kill yourself on Facebook. It's dead embarrassing. Even more embarrassing was the arrival of the local police constable who instead of arresting Coco for his crocodile antics, nicked 29-year-old Carol for hosting an illegal gathering. But outside the police bail, divorced mum of 4 Carol said, "When I catch up with that bloody clown, I'll tan his ass." Terry Watson, 37, was not indoors at his rundown house in Whitehaven when the report was called yesterday. Neighbours said he was visiting relatives in Clayton Moor. We've started strong. I almost don't want to read anything else. I just want to keep that as the only thing from today's episode. So yeah, if you want to stop watching now, probably going to be all downhill from here. Not gonna lie with a starter like that. Coronavirus survivalist dies with squirrel up his arse. Perv's untimely end after he took to the woods to avoid the virus. When nature-loving Liam Cooper heard the country was going into lockdown because of the coronavirus, he took matters into his own hands by setting up a camp in the forest. The 34-year-old homeopathy consultant left behind his home in the leafy village of Norley, Cheshire, and armed only with a tent, a bottle of peppermint oil, a bag of nuts, and a water filter, he began his new life as a nomad in nearby Delamere Forest. And no more was heard from him until his best friend Graham Dooley went looking for him when the lockdown eased and found him dead with a squirrel sticking out of his backside. Graham, 32, told Sunday Sport, "I spoke to Liam in the days leading up to the lockdown, and he was convinced that civilization was about to end. He said that within the month there would be no electricity, no water, or no food. He wanted to get ahead of the game by being self-sufficient and living in the wild. Liam loved nature, and I know for a fact he had once read a Ray Mears survival book, so I thought it'd be fine. But when lockdown eased, I wanted to see how he was getting on, so I went looking for him. It took 2 days before I found him, and what I saw will stay with me for the rest of my days. He was face down, with his head buried and his arse in the air, with a squirrel lodged halfway up his rectum. I could just see its black legs and bushy tail. You could see by the scratches on Liam that it was alive when he put it up there. He must have gone a bit doolally in the woods. Think of it, unlike the rest of us, he didn't have Zoom quizzes, Joe Wick's fitness videos, and the ability to spy on neighbours to see if they were breaking lockdown rules to keep him sane. He was alone with only the squirrels for company. The daft sod must have befriended one of the critters and then jammed up his arse as some sort of misguided attempt to commune with nature. I suppose it could have been a sex thing, but I'm not sure using a squirrel as a living butt plug could ever turn anyone on. Still, as Liam used to say before his tragic accident, it takes all sorts. Girl stabbed fella to death when he refused to bum her. A female porn fan stabbed her fella to death because he refused to have anal sex with her. It's believed the couple were watching a porn video called Butt Raiders 14. But the heated debate of anal nookie kicked off. Our sources added, sounds like she was quite the live wire, this young lady. I can only imagine my wife's face if I brought home a movie like that. It would be supper in the garage for me. That's it. A serial graveyard flasher who terrified women has avoided going back to jail for breaching a court order. Pervert Shane Tucker, above 49, was locked up after a brave mother caught him on the mobile phone footage. She spotted him naked from the waist down in Exeter at 3 a.m. one morning, asking, "Excuse me, wait, why do you keep walking around naked?" Jailed for 10 months 4 years ago, the sicko was handed a sexual harm prevention order to curb his antics, but Turner of Mary Tavy near Tavistock has now pleaded guilty to breaching one of the terms on May the 1st. He admitted to Exeter magistrates last month to having a video or audio recording device without informing the police. Turner was released on bail for a probation report to be prepared. Magistrates have now handed in an 8-week 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. curfew. He was also ordered to pay £95 victim surcharge. Right, here's the one from the front cover. Donald Trump wore a nappy in the White House bunker. President was too scared to go to the loo during rioting. When rioters started shouting outside the White House last week, President Trump knew just what to do. He fled to a nuclear bomb-proof shelter deep in the bowels of Washington, D.C., while cops fought to keep protesters angry at the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis away from the historic mansion. Trump refused to come out of his bolt hole. Nice. And today, Sunday Sport can report that Mr. Trump pulled an adult-sized nappies so he did not have to leave the bunker's inner sanctum to use the lavatory. A White House source said the loo in the presidential bunker is just outside the main chamber, but the president wouldn't want to leave the secure part of the bunker complex. He ordered a Secret Service agent to go and fetch him some adult diapers, which he put on in front of everyone. The president then said he wasn't leaving the room for operational reasons and needed to see the situation screens at all times. But the truth is he was too scared even to go to the toilet, even though there was 200 feet of rock between him and the protesters above. It is not known for certain if the president used the nappy, but several staffers reported a noxious odour. Trump later said he'd only been in the bunker to inspect it and was not hiding from the mob. I did actually hear this, that when all that stuff happened, he just went to safe housing instead of being with the people. A man caught on camera chasing down Black Lives Matter demonstration with Wolverine-type claws has been charged with attempted murder. Frank Cavalluzzi, 54, was filmed chasing protesters while wearing a glove with 4 long serrated-edged blades before getting into his SUV, driving onto the pavement and trying to mow them down. "I will kill you," he allegedly yelled at the protesters. Cavalluzzi, whom police sources called a known troublemaker in the area, was arrested. He was later arraigned on a list of charges including attempted murder, attempted assault, reckless endangerment, menacing, endangering the welfare of a child, and criminal possession of a weapon. In a burst of anger and rage, the defendant allegedly sought to kill protesters who were peacefully assembled and exercising their right to free speech. So it's got a section here. It's a 4-page spread of people in the, the public eye, celebrities who have gone out and protested for the Black Lives Matter and have done the social media blackout tag. So it's a 4-page feature on all of them. Topless. It doesn't say anything about what they're doing. It's just these are the people who have been doing it, who we can get topless pictures of. So just thought I'd share that one with you. Sicko held for having sex with... Guess what I'm going to say next. You'll never guess. Bus shelter was the correct word. A man has been arrested after being spotted having sex with a bus shelter. I mean, what part? Cops were called to investigate a report of a man committing an indecent act on the street furniture. Police say officers arrived, investigated and arrested a man at the scene. According to reports, the man was naked, visibly aroused and vigorously humping the back wall of the shelter. It is believed nobody else was waiting for the bus at the time. The man has since been charged with publicly committing an indecent act, breaching the court order of 3 counts and failing to comply with the probation order. He is being held at custody pending... A police source said, just a couple of months ago, there's no way he could have done that. His little pecker would have frozen solid to that shelter, and that wouldn't have been much fun trying to unstick him. Old lady pelted perv with house bricks. 2 elderly ladies on a camping trip, pelted a pervert with bricks after he furiously masturbated in front of them. Lucretia Matthews and Tamara Walter were enjoying a cuppa outside their tent when Ace Evans, 48, lurched into view. The hulking 6'3" brute approached the genteel ladies and asked them if they had any crystal meth. Obviously, 2 48-year-olds having a cuppa. When the old dear said no and asked Evans to move on, he dropped his trousers, pulled out his semi-erect penis, and began gratifying himself. The alarmed ladies asked Evans to stop pulling his pud, but he pulled out a Stanley knife and yelled, "I'll kill y'all." Fearing for their lives, Miss Matthews and Miss Walter picked up nearby bricks and began pelting the drug addict oddball, who fled yelping into the bushes. Police summoned by the ladies eventually found Evans hiding in a dustbin in Nashville, Tennessee. He still had the knife on him. Evans was nicked, charged with indecent exposure and 2 counts of deadly assault with a weapon. He is currently in the lockup awaiting a court appearance. A police source said, "This dirty son of a bitch sure went counting on these nice little old ladies fighting back." Well, he done got a big surprise, didn't he? Fucking hell. Moo wants to be a millionaire. Wealthy farmer leaves entire fortune to his favourite cow. But it was a con man in disguise. A bond between a farmer and his beast is a strong one. Look at that. Couldn't tell. Few bonds were stronger between Martin Harper and his prize-winning herd of Sussex red cattle. Martin's animals became legendary in his home county of Kent, and their meat found its way onto the tables of London's finest eateries. Success brought all rewards, and when Martin tragically died at a frank grain auger accident at the age of 61, he was a rich man. Married to his vocation and with no close family, it was a mystery who he'd leave his fortune to. However, it soon emerged that he left his bulk of £2 million estate to Daisy, his favourite cow. But all was not as it seemed, because Daisy was in fact 2 Eastern European con men in a pantomime cow outfit. And the scam was only uncovered when the brazen pair trotted into the Maidstone Bank in full cow costume and tried to withdraw $1 million in cash. Eagle-eyed cashiers suspected something was amiss and called the fraud squad. The two were sentenced to 7 years in prison for fraud. During their trial, it had come to light that they had killed the real Daisy and sold her carcass to meat traders for a meagre £40 before taking her place in Martin's herd. Right, and it looks like that is all the interesting articles in this week's Sunday Sport. I hope you enjoyed our time together. As ever, if you're not already, consider subscribing. If you comment me, I'll give you a comment back. How's that? Let's be friends. I read newspapers.